welcome to Layback with Betfair. Joined by the A-team, we're back.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Layback with Betfair. I'm with the great men, Tom Haylock and Nick Foot. That intro, I'm just keeping it short and sharp, line and length. Are you happy with it, Footy?
Yeah, I mean, it's line and length, but it didn't account for the 3 no balls that you dished out prior. No, great to be back, Karl, and have you steering the ship in the captain's chair that you did so well last week. And Tommy Haylock, you join us for the first time for season 5, which I'm excited about, and takes a little bit of pressure off me in the form chair as well.
Good to see you guys. Yeah, Karl's intro had me worried. The first one,
Yeah.
That was so we take 4 and we're here, which is good. Great day of racing.
You guys have been, that'd be so stiff from me. I thought that intro was good.
Mate, it was the most
Got the
boring
job
thing
done.
I've ever heard. That's straight at the lay bin, but you've done well. Much better.
What do you want me to say? You know, introduce Footy as the games record holder for AFLX, apparently.
Oh,
That works.
The shoe fits.
That works.
All right, well, as we do in every episode, we're going to talk straight away about the lay bin. Tom, you're angry about Netflix? Talk to us.
Yeah, we'll actually start with Airbnb because
Okay, all right.
I mentioned this on radio on Sunday, but had a wedding last Friday afternoon, and the bus left at 3:30, Karl, and we were meant to check in at 2 o'clock. We got to the Airbnb. I was with a female work colleague. We got to the Airbnb, and don't give me that look. And
Dangerous areas.
to check in at 2 o'clock, they gave us a 3-digit code, 008, to a 4-digit lockbox, and didn't answer their phone for 45 minutes.
Oh.
So I was sitting there trying to break this code of 3 digits. It didn't work. Obviously, the female colleague was stressed. We needed to get the hair and makeup and shower and get going, and we didn't leave much time. He finally got back to us, the Airbnb host, so we had about 20 minutes to get ready, which wasn't much.
That happened to me in Florence, and I lost about 500 euro, which was pretty crap. Yeah.
Wow.
So that can certainly get into the lay bin there. How much time did you need to get ready for the wedding?
About 5 minutes. I wasn't stressed.
Disagree. I reckon you take your time.
No, it was
Long shower.
pretty good. I do
Get the hair right.
love a long shower. Hair just comes naturally. The other one, Karl, Netflix says here, just to remind me. Now, I'm a big F1 fan, and I love Drive to Survive and what it's done. But just get Drive to Survive out a little bit earlier, because what happens every season, it's out Friday, what happens every season is I get to like 5 of the 10 episodes and the next season starts. I can't watch 10 episodes of Drive to Survive in a week. So just maybe split them. Maybe drop 5 episodes a week earlier and then 5 episodes a week later and let me watch it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm piggybacking that. Stranger Things, season 5.
Never seen it.
Never seen it.
No.
So season 5 came out like a couple of years ago, and season 6 is still a year away. I want my Stranger Things. I need to get my fix. So incredibly frustrating. I'll go with the next
Emily
one.
in Paris is like that too.
Do you watch Emily in Paris?
Yeah, I love Emily in Paris.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thoughts?
I'm learning a lot today. I'm still trying to get past Karl's just working casually and that happened to me in Florence.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it
How's
was a
that-
real
how's that
nonchalant, wasn't it?
Yeah, real Tom Haylock areas.
$550.
Yeah, in
Order off a Dutch
Florence.
bus.
Yeah.
I've got one that has just absolutely enraged me. It probably has enraged me for the last few years, but the All-Star game in All-Star Week is just absolute trash. I'm over the All-Star game. If a team is getting to 200 plus, you're not playing defense. It's not competitive. It's just not a game. Absolutely get into the lay bin.
I was going to put you in the lay bin for copying us into that tweet thinking that we would watch the NBL All-Star game. I haven't watched any of them.
Oh, I've shouldered arms that fast to that. Yeah,
Don't watch it, mate.
I'm not an NBA guy.
I think it's cognizant of the NBA at the moment. I think it's a pretty trash sport that we're watching. Very commercial. They need eyeballs for... Very popular. They need eyeballs for scores. I want to go back to the good old days where it's, both teams get into the 90s. It's just defensively, both teams are really having a crack. It's very competitive. Like I'm not into the dunk shows and stuff like that. I just want competitive basketball. But Footy, I'll go to you, Imperatriz.
Yeah, I figured I was
Not putting Imperatriz in the lay bin.
No, I just figured I was in a horse racing show, so I thought I might
Bring it
try
back.
and
Fair enough.
bring something here. I'm putting in the post-race expertise of a lot of people around the Group 1 Black Caviar Lightning Stakes last week. The trial of Imperatriz leading in, spoken about at length. And when the camp comes out and says, we're concerned, so Mark Walker says, we're concerned.
Ben Gleeson
says we need to look at that. David Ellis wasn't filled with confidence either. But then Mick from Oak Park starts tweeting, "You trial idiots, you trial fools.
What would you know?
What would you know?" Reading into this, it's like, well, okay, settle down, Mick from Oak Park. She's a star.
Shout out to Mick.
I didn't bet into the race, so I'm rapt that she won, regardless. And she was also $1.55, $1.60. So just put the brakes on, the post-race expertise around. Yeah, exactly. So it was good to see her shake what was that lazy trial, but just the experts around the post-race stuff, leave me out of it.
Just on Imperatrice, it seems like she's regressed a little bit. And I was keen, not even the trial, but the 1,000 metres I wasn't sure about. Down the straight I wasn't sure about. I don't think she peaked down the straight last time. So a little query 1,000 down the straight for me, and she slow tempo, she just got away with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't quite say she's regressed. I mean, when she was up the straight last time, it was at a completely different part of her preparation where she sat up top and punched the breeze on a hot speed. And then this time around, it's first up. I would be in that camp very much so that she's better around a bend. We've seen that, what she's done at the Valley. So I wouldn't be saying she's regressed. I'd be leaving it to runs 2 and 3 to make a call on that.
Espiona was enormous. So they go quicker there. She's right in the mix. But
Newmarket trial.
What's a suitable weight for Imperatrice in the Newmarket for her to?
Well, I think that they're touting sort of, if she goes that way, it's 58.5. But I don't think they will. David Ellis said on Monday that they're going to go that Sydney way through the Canterbury Stakes and that's that way. So I'd be shocked if they ended up in the Newmarket.
Yeah, Espiona's a horse to beat.
It's going to be a good race. I'm Unstoppable is not going there now, which is interesting. So obviously it was going to be very well weighted there. But let's kick on to Caulfield. It's Blue Diamond Stakes Day. It's a fantastic day of racing. The track is going to be fascinating because it's been a very, very hot week in Melbourne. And as Footy said off camera, there's been a lot of wind. So currently the track is a soft 5, which means the track managers are probably littering it with water. On Saturday, we're going to get fine, partly cloudy conditions, rails out for 22 degrees. So it's going to be a great day to be on track. But we're surely going to get a track update, aren't we, guys?
I think we'll be racing on the better side of a good 4 to a good 3, given the weather, Tommy. Rail in the +4, winds at around 20. We know wind has a big effect at Caulfield as well. Do you see that playing a big part on Saturday?
It's only a slight southerly forecast, so I think the track will play well. I think Caulfield's played really well of late. Most tracks have played really well of late. So going into the race meeting, track fair, and we'll just see how we go in the first couple of races.
Yep, I've set up for a fair track as well, so fingers crossed.
Are we going to be watching all day for some sort of bias that might come up, given the firm track? You think leaders might be favoured?
Well, leaders are always favoured on firm tracks. I wouldn't be jumping the gun, and obviously we've got a couple of races before we head into the Group 2 and Race 3 that we can start looking at patterns, but I think track will be playing pretty well.
Well, let's kickstart into it with the Group 2 Angus Manasco Stakes over 1,400 metres. Tom, I'll kick to you straight away for the speed. How do you reckon the speed's going to...
Yeah, I think Sparkling kicks up to lead. Sassy Boom won't be far away as well. We've got Star Lacquer, who draws wide, could work across. Then we've got Sarasana and Harlow Miss, which look the map horses. They get a good run in transit. Speed looks pretty good. I'm confident in this race, but I don't know who will win, and I'm against number 2, Autumn Angel. Now, she's probably the horse that I'd want to take home from this race, but I don't think she'll be ready here, Carl. I think she won't be screwed down. I think there's bigger fish to fry. First up, firm track. I'm willing to be against her, and that's probably how I'll play the race and lay Autumn Angel. Now, I can make a case for plenty of others. Sarasana's probably the horse I would look to on top. Trialled well with intent, and that gives me a lot of confidence. Finished second there, seemingly here to run well. We've got So Glamorous, gets trialled off for Damien Lane on, who's riding superbly at the moment. That's a big positive. Wrong part of the track last start, rises to 1,400 metres, I think suits as well. I thought stuck on okay. And the 2 horses that went well there and she beat in this race in the benchmark 72 back at this track and trip have gone on to Quinella, an 1,800 metre race. So the form 2 back is read really well for So Glamorous. And then we've got Harlow Mist, who I've got a massive opinion of, or a big opinion of. I backed her in the Oaks in the spring, and I think horses off an Oaks campaign and even Derby campaigns can sprint really well fresh. And this This filly had a really nice trial in Sydney where she led and showed good speed along the inside, held the fence there, and she'll be ready to go as well. So I'm against Autumn Angel. I'm leaning to 1, 4 and 6 to beat Autumn Angel. How have you seen it, Footy?
Yeah, you're not wrong about the Oaks Derby campaigns, are you? With what we saw Riff Rocket produce first up in the CS Hayes Stakes last Saturday. Look, we're very much on the same train of thought here, Tommy. I'm going to lay Autumn Angel and I'm going to back Sarasana. I'm actually going to hop off the fence though and actually make her a tip on the show. Good. I'm not just going to put her on top.
Going to go for the hamburger.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the hamburger here. Oh, look, she's the Sandown Guineas winner presenting first up off 12 weeks. She will no doubt carry a lot of residual fitness and I really like her trial form, which you mentioned as well, Tommy. That first jump out, she crossed the line on the heels of Jenny Lala, who what we saw her do first up last weekend, and the latest over 1,000 at Cranbourne. Well, she crossed the line with Mahaba in the second fastest heat of the morning. They were only just outside Skew If, who's preparing for an Oakleigh Plate. So you'd imagine they'd be going pretty quick. Sarasana around that $5.50, I think looks a good bet. And then I'm going to lay Autumn Angel for all the reasons that you've mentioned. She just looks like she's the one that is going to have the most improvement to come out of the race. But 1,400 metres first up. I watched the Pakenham jump outs about 9 times to try and capture. You can't. That's the thing. You can't. So, yeah, she was back in the ruck in those jump outs on the far side, filmed on someone's toaster phone. But
there's good ones out there.
Yeah, we should get him to head up
on his
the content. Yeah. Look, not for me at 1,400 metres. And even just looking through her figures as well, Tom, that she's produced under a mile. They're not in the finish in this race. Yep. So she's won out 2,000 metres that I'd closer to 2,000 that I'd be looking to take. So Sarasana a back for me and Autumn Angel a lay for me in the Armanasco.
I like the reasons of why you're both against Autumn Angel. They're great. I think this is a really great race to watch the Betfair Exchange markets ahead of it. That's probably what I'm going to do. Just have a look at where the money's going and play accordingly. And obviously the mounting yard's going to be very important for that race. Let's go to the Group 3 Sedative Stakes over 1,200 metres. Brave Mead is the favourite for this race. Tom, do you want to talk us through speed for this one?
Yeah, there's decent speed here, but I'm against number 1 here, Brave Mead, and I don't know where your take is, but I just think Brave Mead's too short here. Now, I can make a case for a few others. Now, we mentioned Mahaba trialled really well against the horse Sarasana in the first or third race, the first race we previewed. So we're getting a guide to that form. But Brave Mead's met Mahaba twice. Mahaba's beaten in both occasions. So already Mahaba's twice the price of Brave Mead. I struggle to get them close. Don Corleone beat both of them in the Sires of April last year. I think Brave Mead, the first up run impressed me. I think he might have improved, but he maps tricky here. He meets Mahaba 1 kilo worse from a 0.8 length defeat in the spring, but he does have that race under his belt now. But just with the map, the weight swing, the fact that Mahaba's beaten Brave Mead home twice in the past, I can't get Mahaba twice the price of Brave Mead here and off that tricky map. So I wanted to be against Brave Mead. It's not a race I'm too keen to play on, but I might lay Brave Mead.
Yep, I'm against Brave Mead, not from a lay point of view, because I still think he can win. He's produced the performances that can win this. I still feel there's runners here that are more open to improvement at the stage of where they're at in their career, and one of those is Pivot City, who I'm keen to be with. You're getting around $7.50 corpse, and he's just a colt stacked with ability. We saw what he did on debut at Sale, winning by 5 lengths, getting home close to 8 lengths inside benchmark. That last 600 caught everyone's attention. That soft on the line, was lame at start 2 and tipped out. Then first up this prep, he went around at $1.55 held up at key stages with more to offer. Look, big tick out to 1,200 metres. Second up, wide draw, shoot start, not a big issue, and I think he represents some value. And then the other you touched on is Mahaba, who, if you're comparing to Brave Mead, how can you not have Mahaba at the price? If you want to back Brave Mead, you have to have something on Mahaba, don't you? So, look, had a very good spring. He'll beat Brave Mead, have said, on Moya night over 1,200. Ran Nacho to 0.4 of a length as well in the red anchor. 1,000 metre jump out was a ripper. That was the same jump out as Sarasana that I mentioned in the previous race. So, looks to map well in behind the speed. So, a 2-bet play for me in the Sedative, and that's number 10, Pivot City, number 2, Mahaba.
Just quickly on the map with Pivot City as well. You get a good guide. If they're up and in early, you'd be slightly concerned with Pivot City. I know it's a shit start, but just the way the track might play is going to be really important to how you play that race, I assume.
Would you be watching the odds in play and potentially doing something there?
It's all about track pattern, but it's a question for footy.
Yeah, look, not for me. The Pivot City is probably more of a bet on where I think the level that horse can get to. I've got a really high opinion of it, and I think he's had some excuses, particularly his last start, and 1200 is really going to suit. So, and at the price, hard not to get involved for me.
Yep, fair. Group 2 Autumn Classic, 1800 metres. Seems like another tricky race here. What are you going to do with it, Tom?
Yeah, well, there's not much speed. There's eight boys, 3 fillies in this race, and not a lot of speed. No interest. If I was forced to have a bet, it might be Sox Nation, who's got the ratings and the best body of work into this race. But there's so many with upside, so many with scope. I found it impossible race, especially with not a lot of speed on paper. We've got Sox Nation who can roll forward. Jen Ricciero, whatever it is. Our Couva kicks up from 1 as well. Not a race I'm keen to bet into.
Yeah, I didn't have a strong opinion on the race either. I love that Sox Nation form through Acid Wash. I've got a big opinion of Acid Wash still. But look, 7 last start winners are engaged in this race. There's a lot of runners on the up. Hard to find an angle, so I'm staying out of the Autumn Classic this year. Yep,
I'll be keen just to have a watch. Keen to look at United Kingdom and see where that horse will go this prep. All right, let's go to the Group 2 Peter Young Stakes, short and sharp for that one. But I'm very interested in this race because obviously we see the return of Gold Trip and on a firm track there is potentially some risk of him scratching from the race footy.
Yeah, so we spoke about Gold Trip at length for a week, I think, in the media in the lead up to a Caulfield Cup, saying we'll scratch if it's too firm. So I feel if we're still sitting along the same, he's another, he's older again. If we're sitting along the same line of thought there, that if it's going to be coming up a good 3, why wouldn't they be doing that in a Group 2 Peter Young over 1800 metres? Well, it might affect, I guess, the rest of his preparation either way. But $2.50 Gold Trip corporates at the moment, taking up a lot of the market. Not sure if he'll run. It's again a race I found very hard to find an angle in. You've got the likes of Zenzella, who steps up against a few of these, Melbourne Cup winners like the likes of Vow and Declare. Shiraz ran a drum in last year's Melbourne Cup. You've got Loft, the one-time Melbourne Cup favourite, returning, albeit a big price, looking maybe towards a Sydney Cup. And then the New Zealand flavour as well in the race in Campionessa. She's a really interesting one. Ran Legato to half a length last start. And then won that Group 1 zipping over there, beating No Compromise, who didn't have the strongest of Aussie form. So that sort of turned me off maybe diving into Campionessa as well. So for me, this was a bit of a minefield, this race, and I'm prepared to stay out of this one as well.
Just on Campionessa, Barrier 1 has won 3 of the last 5 races, and that's the barrier that Campionessa jumps from. So that's an interesting little note there, potentially bodes well for her. Mark Zara's won the race twice in 2017 and 2018, and obviously he's going to be on Gold Trip. What are your thoughts on the horse?
Oh, Gold Trip is a star. He's got to be up there as one of the best horses in the country. His runs on good tracks aren't too bad. He won a Turnbull on a good 4, and that's pretty good form.
I don't think that's the point, though. Sorry to cut in. I don't think that's the point. I think
he just feels the run afterwards.
We've got to look after the horse now as he's aging, and I don't think they necessarily looked after the horse in the spring. I mean, they've given him 3 massive runs and 3 potential grand finals in the Caulfield Cup, Cox Plate, and then Melbourne Cup. He obviously didn't run well at all. Finished at the back of the field. So yeah, I suppose it's about looking after the horse now.
Yeah, just on this race, it's an absolute garbage race for Group 2. This is half this field is looking for 3,200, the other half are looking for retirement. It is a garbage race, and if I'm forced to bet, it'd be Campionessa. I think she might be too good for them. But yeah, it's an awful Group 2 race.
I just want to make note of El Soleado, who's in here as well and has won 3 on the trot. I found it really interesting winning last week, 7-day backup. Jamie Carr in the post-race with Nige Carmody called this horse a freak, which I was very intrigued around. I think it was a benchmark 84 that the horse had won 3 in a row.
And she jumps off and rides Unusual Culture.
Yeah, I didn't even pick that up.
She probably was booked on Unusual Culture.
Yeah, no
before they
doubt.
decided to back
But
up.
it was an interesting point. And well, C. Williams in the saddle, he could have a day out this week after the few days he's had.
He went to Provincial New South Wales on Sunday and rode a treble.
Yeah.
El Soliato, you got actually a chance in this race, but you look at the weights of this race. It's a way for age race. 84 handicapper against a bunch of horses that are rated 20 more, and you're carrying the same weight. It's hard to see El Soliato winning, but it's just such a crap race that.
So for these reasons, this is surely why a Gold Trip is so short, because he's placed in 6 of his 8 first up runs, but he's never won, and he's obviously a horse that's going to continue to improve as he goes out.
His first up run last preparation was in this race too, and it was a brutal tempo up top.
Yep.
Keats, Steinem won the race.
Mm-hmm.
Gold Trip closed off really, really well. So this is the same pattern that the stable's following.
And first up last campaign in the spring, he ran an enormous fourth. Flew home against Young Werther and Future History from well back.
They put the shades on him at home in his jump outs too, and he was sort of quite sharp in his work.
He's just the best horse in the race.
Yeah, he is.
Course.
I think. Yeah. And is he going to be there? And it's 250.
Exactly,
so for me, just leave me out of it on
talking
Thursday.
about this race.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well
fair
summed
enough.
up, Goss.
My last note is I think I'm going to lay Gold Trip. Is it going to be the best lay of the day? I'm not sure. We'll see. A little bit later, the first Group 1.
That's his lay streak. He'll claim that.
Exactly, 100%. The first Group 1, the Futurity Stakes. My goodness, how good was Mr. Brightside first up? Looking, I think the $1.55 he currently is almost value. He's by far the best horse in this race.
It's a race that it's going to be hard to spend a lot of time on for me, this Tommy, because Mr. Brightside, look, you got the likes of Pericles, Buffalo River from a speed point of view. They just lead them up. Willow just camps in behind there. Likely probably gets the 1-1 and just wins. I cannot add any more insight into this race. I just feel like it's if people want to dive into the likes of Jimmy Starr at $1.22 and they're throwing up $1.55 about Mr. Brightside in this Group 1, I'm in that every day.
Don't bring up Jimmy Starr.
Sorry, we're still talking about it.
He's almost value at $1.55. If you get $1.60 on the exchange, it's good value. You've got Attrition, who was last seen winning a Toorak here in superb style, got upside. He's a danger, and the only other danger, crazy to think, but I give Buffalo River a chance. Only beaten half a length last start. Could just sneak away here on a fast tempo if there's any sort of pattern or bias. Who knows? But Mr. Brightside should win.
Doomsday scenario. Mr. Brightside, Willow leads up. Mr. Brightside, Hey Fat Cat comes from the clouds, wins at 35s.
Yeah, on Wanamac.
I reckon Elon Musk would have to close Twitter. I reckon it'd explode. I reckon something would occur there. I'd just go,
71
shut
handicap
it down. Yeah.
Mr. Brightside simply wins, but I think, Tom, you bring up a really good point around the track bias, potentially with Buffalo River. But, at double figures, he might be worth a spec. But, yeah, $1.55 currently is probably value for Mr. Brightside. He's going very well. The big one, the Group 1 Blue Diamond Stakes for the 2-year-olds. This is just a fascinating race because I think there could potentially be multiple winners here. It's loaded with some really good horses, and it's going to be a very competitive race. And I'm very keen to talk about the speed. I reckon it's going to be a massive factor.
Before we talk about it, is this one of the best Blue Diamonds in recent years? It feels that way to me. I feel like the 2-year-olds are good at the moment, and I feel like this is, with the likes of Lady of Camelot, a bit of a Sydney influence with some of those key runners in the market. For me, this is the most engaged I've been in a Blue Diamond in recent years.
Yeah, it's a fascinating point. A lot of people are saying it's a fantastic addition. It is a fantastic addition. It's a great betting race. A lot of the lead-ups, there hasn't been a lot between them, especially in the times. So you could almost say it's lacking a star, but some of these could turn out to be stars, like Coleman's undefeated. You've got Lady Camelot, who won superbly last start. It is a lot of angles, great betting race.
Mm.
Yeah.
100%. All right, what's happening with the speed, Tom?
Lady of Camelot, she leads. Waterhouse Bot from barrier 4 kicks up. Kuriyanagi kicking up from barrier 2 as well, settles handy. Outside of that, there's a few. Stay Focused has a bit of speed, draws wide, can roll forward. I'm not sure what they do with Spywire here. I'd like to see them ride Spywire positively, and I think can settle potentially outside lead. We've seen a lot of these Blue Diamonds in the past where there's been a stack of speed on paper and they've actually gone really slow. So I think Lady of Camelot leads on her ear, and if Spywire wants to cross, I think she can settle outside. He can settle outside lead. How have you got the map?
Yeah, pretty similar. Spywire is somewhat the forgotten horse in the race. Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very similar. So I've got Spywire pushing forward. Lady of Camelot drawn plumb in 4 to push forward. Adam Hieronymus gets his chance at that Group 1 after some disappointing news, but just basically a byproduct of the industry and what it is around the Stormboy ride and the sale to Coolmore, obviously. Very similar in terms of speed. It'll be obviously run at a pretty solid clip. So I'm going from a betting perspective in this race, a 2-bet play. So I've got Lady of Camelot. I'm trying to go my top boy and my top girl this year. That's how I'm sort of assessing the race, and that's how I'm playing it. Lady of Camelot, well, she's my top girl. What she did in the Widden Stakes, first up into a second prep, she was out hard, home hard. Overall, 10.6 lengths inside benchmark. I love that pattern for a 2-year-old. They leave luck out of the equation. And then one that didn't leave luck out of the equation so much last start was High Octane. I got him on top of the boys. He's just brimming with raw ability for mine. Did a bit wrong in the preview in the concluding stages, but had plenty on them to still win. Absolute disaster in the prelude. Strung up in traffic. Feel he'll still take benefit from that run. So Mark Zara reported when he went to Canterbury, he headed up there to ride bodyguard for some track work for the Snowdens, and also hopped on High Octane and sort of spoke about how he was very immature. Another day at the races, even though we didn't get to see him unleashed and strung up behind traffic in that prelude, still going to the races, that full experience will sharpen him up again mentally. And I feel like he's got some serious ability. Draws 10. Blake Shin on, he'll blend into the race nicely and be charging late. So Lady of Camelot and High Octane are my 2 plays in the Blue Diamond.
I risked High Octane at Caulfield last start in the prelude. I actually have a bigger opinion of Bodyguard and Stay Focused, and Stay Focused is quite a gross horse, will improve from that. But the times between the fillies and the boys were almost identical, identical race shapes and identical time. So it leaves the jury's out for me on that form. I'm happy. The way I've read this race is I've read it and I've got clarity on the race. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know if I'm extremely confident in the result. But the way I've done the form, I'm very confident in how I've done it. So the boys and the girls in the prelude, I'm putting a line through that form. They're just times are 2 identical. They would have crossed the line altogether as a clump of 5 or 6. High Octane was unlucky, started favourite. So I've risked that form, and I've risked the Coleman form as well. Just querying Coleman up to 1,200 metres. They went very slowly there, so I'm risking Coleman. I think Anisa can turn the tables on Coleman as it is. So I've let in the way of Lady of Camelot. She's my top seed, as you said. Went 4.2 lengths faster benchmark of 600, and then 3.9 lengths faster home. So she ran fast time early, fast time late. It was an exceptional run. So I'm backing her. She's the bet. She's already had a lot of market support throughout the week. And the other one that you just mentioned is the Forgotten Horse. I'm having something on number 2, Spywire. 1,200's a query, but with any luck, I'd love to see this horse roll forward. I wouldn't be surprised if the market firms Spywire up. He started single figures, $8.50 against what many are saying is the best horse in the best 2-year-old of the last 10 years or something in Stormboy. Started $8.50, ran 3rd there. I know he was well beaten, but if he just ambles across, settles outside lead, I wouldn't be surprised if he runs a hell of a race here. So what he did at Gold Coast prior, the week Saturday before, was fantastic. I think he's a nice horse. So he's the forgotten one for me at the value.
Interestingly, would it be such a negative if Spywire went back? Because he clearly has a turn of foot. We saw it in that Magic Millions Classic. From barrier 18, he's going to have to do a lot of work to lead, but I don't necessarily think it's the worst thing if the horse goes back.
Put it this way: if he rolls forward, I'd mark him $15. If he rolls back, I'd mark him 40s.
Okay.
I think he has to roll forward. You have to roll the dice from out wide.
I don't think he can seed these horses 4 or 5 lengths, be wide on the track and win, unless the track's playing off fence considerably. So,
I mean, it is also going to be a pretty brutal tempo. We would have thought it's going to be a fast race.
I don't think it will be.
No.
I just think they'll find their positions. The leader's drawn 4, the other on-speed influencer's drawn 2. Unless Stay Focused rolls forward and puts pressure on. But I don't think they often don't go too fast in these races.
Big Field's 2-year-olds, I think they'll jog along. Stay Focused is the one, Tommy, you mentioned as well. Probably out of all of the runners in the market, the only runner really cruelled by the barriers was Stay Focused.
Yeah.
So I love how the barrier draws unfolded, everything in the lead up to this race. It's just a mouth-watering Group 1 Blue Diamond.
Only 4 of the last 20 favourites have won the race. The last one was Extreme Choice. Absolutely fantastic stallion now. That was in 2016. The last 5 Betfair starting prices of the winners have been $10.80, $27, $13.50, $22 and $9.70. So for all the reasons to risk Coleman of what Tom said, that I completely agree with. And just also the money profile. I can't wait to watch the market ahead of the race. I also agree with Spywire at the price. I don't think the horse should be 50s. I think there's some sort of versatility in there. So happy to see. Hopefully rolls forward, as you say. But yeah, the final one that we haven't spoken about is it's going to be a really firm track, we think. How are the 2-year-olds going to handle that as well?
I think Lady Camelot will fly. She obviously won the winning on a Group 3. She's tough. We know what Waterhouse and Bott put the work into them, so I think that'll suit her. But you just don't know with some of these. They do get shin sore pretty quickly, these 2-year-olds, or have come to the end of their preps pretty quickly. So that's always the danger in these 2-year-old races.
All right, well, let's head to the Group 1 Oakleigh Plate. It's going to be a speedy race, 1,100 metres. Fillies and mares have won 22 of the last 35 Oakleigh Plates, which bodes well for Asfoora. But what are we going to do with Asfoora? We're going to talk about that in a sec. But Footy, do you want to talk through the speed? Tom, do you want to talk through the speed? What are you thinking, Footy?
They might go like Oakleigh Platers, Tom. We had to get it in.
Good.
We had to get it in. So, yeah. There's obviously going to be a lot of speed. Brudenell down from Sydney will be a key speed influence. We know Najim Sahel only knows one way. Hypothetical Asfoora recommendation, they'll all be handy. And the likes of, Cumin will slot in as well somewhere there too from barrier position number 2. So there's going to be plenty of speed on. I really do hope that, albeit a firm track, that it is playing fair, because it's going to bring some of these runners that are going to set up behind that speed into this race and make it a really exciting addition. You've got the likes of Benedetta, you've got the likes of Scarippa. We saw what Carlos did last start going past Asfoora. I don't know if he can do it with the weight this week. So it's a terrific addition. Many angles, good betting race. Not sure of the strength of the Group 1 this year, but it's certainly a terrific race from a betting perspective. And I haven't even spoken about King's Gambit, who gets in barrier 1, 50 kilos. What are they going to do with King's Gambit, Tommy?
Well, can be slowly away, King's Gambit. So barrier 1's an awful draw in my opinion, but I would have much preferred him in 10. I think hypothetical leads James Sahale, to be honest. Brudenell probably can cart hypothetical across and find a spot. What do they do with Scripper? Do they go back? They just camp out wide, try and slot in?
I'm thinking they're camping out wide and blending into the race. You've got a really nice cruising speed, and the pace is going to be on. So you'll be up there somewhere, Froggy, and be trying to blend into the race. And being 1,100 metres Caulfield, is it that much of a concern? 3-4 wide?
Maybe not, if you get cover.
Yeah.
Depends how fast they run as well, because you've got to go around a bend going hell for leather potentially to keep up, and you might burn the candle at both ends.
According to history, it probably does. It's a very important point. 10 of the last 16 winners have won from double-figure barriers. So ideally, you want to be starting, from that wider barrier. How does that go for Asfoora? Well, the other thing is that Asfoora 57.5 kilos and no horse has won with that weight this century. So that's another note to consider.
She's an interesting one, Asfoora, because she didn't run to her starting price first up, did she? Like, it's fair to say. But it was still a pass mark, given, you know, the Oakleigh Plate's been the target. So she's a track distance specialist. I've certainly gone a bit cold on her since that. But if you remove the SP from it, and like Henry Dwyer made comments in the lead up, you know, if she wants to be a genuine Oakleigh Plate contender, she should be winning this race, and she didn't. That's made me a little bit lukewarm on it. But just looking at it from a purely second up Oakleigh Plate point of view, it's a big tick and a big pass mark. But I don't know how you find her in terms of just being in at the weights as well, Tommy.
Yeah, it's a fascinating race. Like, Kalos, 58 kilo top weight in an Oakleigh Plate, suggests it's not the strongest edition of a Group 1 sprint we've seen. Like, Kalos was going around in Group 3, he won a listed race 5 starts ago, beat the Bopper in a very fine red. I don't think it's a vintage race. Kalos went straight past her for her last start, was an enormous win. I like Godolphin first up as well. I've lent away from that form a little bit with the weights. I'm strongly in the corner of Benedetta. I think she's an absolute class mare. She's drawn perfectly. This would seem as a step up from anything she's done, but like I said, Kalos was going around in listed races 5 starts ago. So I don't think this is a vintage year, and I think she's a very good horse who maps well and right in this. I like the trial since. She was good in a Silver Eagle last start. We saw her. I'm happy to be with her. The other ones, I've actually Hypothetical beat her in a trial jump out recently, which is interesting, but Hypothetical had a lot more intent, a lot more speed.
First up into an Oakleigh Plate.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't done the stats on it, but I've got a big opinion of her, and she's got a good first up record. The other one, I want to have something on King's Gambit. I want to see how the track's playing, because they might even be getting off fence and it might be the wrong part of the track and you could almost put a pen through him. He's been slightly away awkwardly in his trials, which is interesting, but I think he's the best sprinting 3-year-old we've got. We saw I'm Unstoppable and a couple of the 3-year-olds last Saturday not really measure up. I know I'm Unstoppable had excuses, so that's a little query, but 50 kilos, barrier 1, he might get the suck run, and Jamie Carr, if he lobs one for the in-play punters, if he lobs 5th fence, like 3 back the fence, he's in a good position potentially. So just monitor conditions in the track. And the other one I'm backing, Carl, is number 9, Brudenell. 1-8 from 15, got huge upside. He didn't parade overly well last start and still managed to win. And I was bunt finish. He hasn't done much wrong, this horse. He maps perfectly as well. So just for a winner, he's 1-8 from 15. As I said, I want to have something on him. He beat Lady Laguna 3 starts ago, and that horse's favourite, almost even money in a Group 2 on Saturday in Sydney. So the form's actually not too bad.
It feels like with King's Gambit that everything has to go right for the horse, and he's probably just a bit too short for mine. Barrier 1. If he starts slowly, then it's a lot of trouble. So I think you made a fantastic call there. In-play betting on King's Gambit probably is the way to go. Yep. Definitely a big watch. I probably think there's not enough value to lay Asfoora, but I'm keen to lay the horse as well. Currently at the price, just with the fact that the weight hasn't been done this century. Probably one that I'm going to stick with. Any final thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I might give my tip. Just before we move on. I love what you said about Benedetta. My only thing with her is first up into the Oakleigh Plate. She might be just a little bit vulnerable late. We know how excellent she is, though. King's Gambit could have the most ability out of all of them and gets in at 50 kilos, so that's scary. Yeah. It just does a lot wrong. I'm siding with it's meat and 3 veg stuff. It's Scripper. So 1x3 play. You're looking at $11. I know he's one of mine. Tommy's been giving me a bit on the group chat already today. But Christmas Stakes and Standish winner at last 2. Loved the 1,000-metre trial. I'm sure you and the Bald Eagle would have watched that in your mum's basement through the week or something, Tommy, just getting stuck into that Morpherville. I don't know, it's the troll foal's dead. Look, wide draw, no issue, providing the track's fair. I think he can slot in. Froggy's 2 from 2 on board, blending in, speed on, coming with a run. Yeah, I love him, Scripper.
My concern was the barrier with Scripper. Big queries. It's a race that he can win for sure. He's got that upside. He's a winner. Mick Gannon on SEN during the week footy gave his top 3 horses in the country. Left out Imperatrice, probably had Imperatrice 4th. You got Scripper slightly out of Imperatrice.
I think Mick Gannon's been drinking too many lattes out at Icebergs because it was very much a New South Wales themed. He wouldn't even know where South Australia is, Mick Gannon. I was surprised at that. I don't know if you've heard of another horse too called Without a Fight, who
goes pretty well.
Caulfield Cup, Melbourne Cup. There, I guess they're probably just benchmark.
You see, he hasn't run for a few months.
Yeah,
just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, that's it. All right, enough about Gano. Let's move on.
All the Group 1s are done. The last race of the day is the Mannerism Stakes over 1,400 metres. How are you guys going to play? Hopefully there's a little bit of money in your pockets leading into the race. But is this something that you want to bet into, Tom?
How have you found this race, footy? It's a real mix-up, mashy kind of mares race, this. There are a lot of intertwined form, and it's not form that I really want to be with. I mean, Vagrant, Party of One, Road to Arataki come through that race. Vagrant and Party for One had the most perfect runs. Vagrant had the suck run along the inside, didn't go around a horse, won well, but meets the other 2 worse the weights, 2 kilos worse the weight. So I'm querying that.
Well, Vagrant's interesting for me because she was scratched last week, and I'm assuming, and I don't know this for sure, the big knock was the inside draw because she gets back, and now they've held her over to this week. She's drawn barrier 1. So, I mean, was she held back purely going, no, let's target the Mannerism, give her an extra week? I'm not sure, but barrier 1's a big no-no on Vagrant for me.
And late in the day, they could be getting off.
Yeah, and this is why I don't want to lay Vagrant as well, to be honest. So, Eternal Flame, I was with Eternal Flame last week, and it was just a horror watch. But then backing up again, now 4th up into the preparation, I don't know, is it, do you come on from that? I'm not sure. There's so many little angles. Forbidden City was, I looked at, maybe she's over the odds at sort of $8.59, but she just doesn't win races.
I'm just penning that Revolutionary Miss form as well. Revolutionary Miss didn't go around a runner. There wasn't much between them. Meets them half a kilo worse at the weights. Forbidden City comes through that. Eternal Flame comes through that. Revolutionary Miss had a perfect run in transit then, just sucked up along the fence again, kicked clear, draws awfully here. Map's really sticky, so kind of against that form too. I've got no idea. I went looking for running by. Yeah. Short SP last time brings different form. Even Shuffle Dancer, newcomer first up, can run well, trialled okay. So I'm going away from the 2 lead-ups if I'm playing.
Yeah,
wide in the quaddie.
I'm just not playing at all, and I'm wide in the quaddie, to be honest. I found this a bit of a minefield, this one. There's races I feel that fit into this category across the day. I've spoken about this race in particular.
Usually
the
races.
The Autumn Classic and the Peter Young as well. So they're races that I'm happy to give a big watch to across the weekend. And then the other races where we've found some bets, that's where we'll spend up.
Tough finish to Caulfield. We're going to head to Rosehill. We don't have a what caught my eye segment, unless you guys have one without notice. But maybe just to have a little bit of a break from talking about races, I want to ask you guys, because I think the Mick Gannon question is a good one. Who do you think is the best horse in Australia at the moment? Obviously, there's different, very loaded. There's different, circumstances, sprinter, middle distance, whatever it is. But who's the best horse in Australia at the moment?
Imperatrice. We're a sprinting country. She's the best sprinter we have.
That was my take on Giga Kick up against Animo. I thought Giga Kick was a much better horse than Animo because Animo was beating up our middle distance horses, which are no good. Giga Kick was beating the sprinters, and we are world class with sprinters. So I can see the case for Imperatrice. I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. Who's a better horse than Mr. Brightside or Fangirl?
I love that question. I think it's a fantastic one.
I would go. I think Fangirl's a better horse on top of the ground. If they were racing mile on top of the ground, I think Fangirl goes close in the Cox Plate last year with any good luck. But you'd have to go Mr. Brightside because you can do it on all surfaces. Doesn't matter which way. Like as soon as rain comes, Fangirl's cast. So for durability, all track conditions, I've got Mr. Brightside ahead of Fangirl. And
I'm with you on that too. And just the versatility factor too. Fangirl's very one-dimensional in terms of what she does from a pattern point of view.
Yep.
You can't underestimate, and Mr. Brightside is a champion, your ability to be able to put yourself into a race and be versatile with that. And we've seen Craig Williams just ride Mr. Brightside to an absolute treat, be able to lob wherever, do it off any tempo. and that leaves Fangirl out of a little bit. So for me, Mr. Brightside ahead of Fangirl, even though I feel all conditions in her favour, she can be a little bit more brilliant.
I agree. I think she's a better horse on top of the ground than Mr. Brightside if they raced at a good 4 at Flemington. I'd have Imperatrice right up there. Think About It's right up there. So they're the top 5 in my opinion, without a fight. Clearly the dominant stayer. I think he'd be... I'd almost have him on top, but I know I'm leaning to stayers there, which I don't like. So tough question, Carl.
Yeah, fair. Well, good chat. I mean, it's a good conversation to have. You would just love to own Mr. Brightside, and I think an underrated part of that story is Lindsay Park, obviously without David, have done a magnificent job with the horse. They've placed him perfectly, and they've trained him perfectly. He's so versatile, as you say. Can do it from the front, can do it from the back. So, yeah, he's a fantastic horse. I just can't wait for Fangirl and Mr. Brightside to clash again.
Would you rather own?
Hopefully soon.
Would you rather own Mr. Brightside or King's Gambit?
Ooh. From now? From
Oh,
this point on?
for the last last year.
Mr. Brightside.
Interesting, isn't it? King's Gambit's a cult. That's why.
Yeah.
If he comes out and wins the Oakleigh Plate,
I'm a real blinkers on thinker.
Yeah.
I'm a real race day thinker.
Yeah.
That's a good point as well.
That's it.
There's another dimension. All right, that's for another what caught my eye.
All right, let's head over to Tom's stomping ground, Rosehill. Absolutely love it there. What's happening with the track over there, Tommy?
Big watch. Obviously, a lot of rain around during the week, and they're just drying throughout Saturday with some showers forecast early morning Saturday. I'm a big believer Rosehill drying throughout the day. You want to be inside and up, fencing run. So I've got a big watch out for fencing run, particularly from the shoot starts up on speed. So big watch there, but the weather has a few things to pan out before Saturday morning.
Don't know how many races you want to talk about, but we've got the Group 2 Hobartville Stakes for the 3-year-olds over 1,400 metres that we'll talk about first. You both have done the form, but I'll go for the speed with Tommy first.
Yeah, can I just talk about the Silver Slipper first? Have you had a look at it?
No, I haven't.
It's a cracking race. Espionage straight charge for the Waterhouse Spot factory. I want to mention this number 5, Gatsby's. Chris Weiler, Tommy Berry, huge price here, but also accepted race 1 at Canterbury Friday night. On debut. I've loved his trials. I'd have something on him here at 30s, and it's actually a pretty good race at Canterbury Friday night. There's a couple. Joe Pride's got one in that goes pretty well as well. So just a big watch on that race. Okay. I think Straight Charge is the horse to beat, but Gatsby's got a big opinion of him. Hobartville, do you want to talk about speed?
Yeah, Hobartville. I'll flick back to that here. Good race. We've actually both landed on the same bet, which is
in the leader.
Extraordinary stuff. Yeah, look, Le Vampire looks the obvious leader from Barrier 1.
That's very French of you, mate.
Yeah, well, that's the pronunciation, Tom.
Carl would have run with Les Vampires.
Absolutely.
Les Vampires.
Just a little bit more monotone than that.
Gan Bear will push across from 7, as will Raff Attack from 13. Flying Trapeze will also, if runs there, will also be a speed influence, as will Last Straw. So I've got Le Vampire being the clear leader in this race, Tom, which is the runner I've actually landed on as well here. So at around $8, $3, I'm going a little 1x3 play here. This is my only bet for the day as well at Rosehill, and I feel he's a colt that's ready to fulfill his potential. So last prep he beat NCAP, that was in maiden, and then he SP'd 3:30 in the up and coming before being busted up top in that race. So first up this prep, I loved how they went to Canners. It was a benchmark 64. He carried 61.5 kilos, but I love the way that he did it over the 1250 there. He went hard out top and was able to come home hard as well with the big weight. Still clocked the fastest last 200 metres of the race, running away from the rest of the field through the line. So the step up to 1,400 metres there for Le Vampire, I think is the tick, because you probably would have queried the distance given the up-and-coming form prior, but that start shows that he's a colt that's ready to fulfil his potential. Drawn 1, Josh Parr will be in a long way.
Yeah, best value on the card at Rosehill, probably of all the races I've looked at on the day. Les Vampires.
The Vampires.
Le Vampire. I've got a huge question mark over the 3-year-old staying kind of form through Cap for Rat, Gambit, Raff Attack, Tom Kitten, NCAP. I've got a huge doubt in my mind of that form. We saw it with Caballos. Mate, NCAP, I know NCAP was first up, but Caballos was enormous. Sat wide in the Eskimo Prince and came from benchmark 72 to win that. Made them look second rate. So I've gone for the lightly raced horse down the bottom that's working through the grades. Another offer 64, but leader, I think he's a nice each way play. Josh Parr, lose nothing with Josh Parr going on the leader, and I think it'd be hard to beat.
How did you assess Tom Kitten's first up performance then coming into here? Because he probably did have the race shape against in terms of how he went around. It was over 1,200 metres. It was a very slowly run race. I think they went 6 lengths outside benchmark to the 600. So you're not going to expect a runner like Tom Kitten to show that turn of foot and be able to explode over 1,200 first up, given that shape.
Very true, very true. He's a good horse. Stable going awful in Sydney.
Yeah.
So I'm penning them until I see something in Sydney from their stable. I can't remember the last winner they've had it in a good race.
And even with these 2-year-olds around at the moment, they've got the likes of Traffic Warden running in the Blue Diamond, but they don't have their out marquee 2-year-old this season.
No, which is rare.
Touch concerning.
Their Melbourne stable's going all right. Obviously, we saw Kalos with a dynamic win, but Sydney, I don't know where they're at. So I want to see Tom Kitten have another one before I start warming up on him.
Have another kitten.
After listening to the
Cafe
analysis...
Millennium's interesting. If it was Randwick, I would have made a case for him.
After listening to the analysis, I'm going to stick with you guys, I reckon.
Yeah.
Good.
The Vampires.
Yeah.
The Vampires.
The Vamps.
Lay Streak was very good last week.
Well, Reese laid Imperatriz, so...
Besides Reese,
weak suspension.
Although he got the $1.55, it would have been very, very lucrative for him if Imperatriz just got beat by Private Eye, who was very sturdy in defeat. But footy, you've got $122.73 to play with. This is your first week, Tom. Obviously missed last week, so you got $100 to play with. I've got $131 to play with, and Jackson Oldham, who we're going to cross to now, has $122 to play with. Let's see who Jackson's laying this week.
Lay Streak this week, Caulfield, race 6, number 1, Gold Trip. He just seems to have come up way too short in early markets. Under $3 seems a rock bottom price. He'll be back last in a race that probably will be lacking a little bit of tempo. I imagine they go slower than average early. This obviously isn't his target. He got beaten in this race 2 preparations ago behind Steinem. His run first up last preparation was really, really good, but to get him under $3 here, I think you have to kind of rate him to be ready to go, and I doubt he will be. There's worthy challenges in this race too. Campionessa started under $8 in an Australian Cup. The last time she was here, she beat All Bar Legato last start. So Gold Trip, he's going to have a poor map. If he wins, it'll be in the last few hops, and I think he's a rock bottom price and worth laying.
Jackson's laying Gold Trip. I agree with everything that Jackson has said. Just in case the horse doesn't run this week, I'm also going to lay Coleman. I think actually Saturday's racing is a good day for laying horses. I think there's a few semi-shorties on the card that we could get stuck into laying. But footy, who are you going with in the Lay Streak?
Do I have the option to get my $120 off Harry on the way out of the studio, or do I need to continue?
Keep going.
Is this Monopoly, or is this
cash
real?
out, mate.
Okay, real. Okay,
No,
cool.
we roll on the
I
liability.
just wanted to make sure that
Harry, put the bets
It's
on.
literally called Streak.
One's a streak, trust me. I'm laying Autumn Angel in race 3 in the Angus Armanasco. Look, she was the winner of the Ethereal last start in the spring, but that kicking off over 1,400 metres at a distance short of her best. She's going to be much more effective out in trip with a run under the belt. She's got a scope for improvement, but not for me at $3.30. So she's going to be my lay this week, Autumn Angel.
I agree with you. It's a good day for lay betting. I'm laying the Peter Young Stakes. Awful race.
You get $1,000 back too, just for laying it.
Autumn Angel, I'm with you. Bigger fish to fry for me. So firm track early in the day. Happy to take on Autumn Angel. I am going to lay probably not Mr. Brightside, Brave Mead. I'll lay Brave Mead and I'll lay Coleman.
You would be drinking some Brave Mead if you were laying Mr. Brightside.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. I've got a bit of a theme developing here because I laid Molly Nickers last week first up for the Moody Coleman stable.
They won't be happy, mate.
No, I'm sure Catherine's she's a big listener of the show and viewer. So no offense, Kath. It's just how it's fallen.
Can I just say that you guys are agreeing with each other way too much?
Too much.
I need to see this.
Yeah.
Anna Visto last year.
Give it time.
There will be plenty of time.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, guys? Any races that we need to watch out for?
No, get laying.
No, I'm just that excited for this weekend.
It's going to be a good.
This is
good
the most excited I've been about racing for a weekend since the Flemington Carnival. To be honest,
you on track?
I'm not on track this weekend. I'm off doing some other things interstate actually, Tom. So
pre-season.
Yes. So
where are you, Tom?
I'm on track. Yeah.
Send us a selfie. What are you wearing?
A weird thing to do.
This has just got weird.
Yeah.
You guys make it weird. It's not me. Oh. You guys, literally, you make it weird.
All right.
But, Tom, what are you wearing, by the way?
Do you want the selfie pre-getting kitted up or kitted up from Tom?
Both. Okay. Said both.
No run.
All right, guys. What a great way to finish the show. We'll be back next week. Good luck punting this Saturday. Massive Blue Diamond Stakes Day. We'll see you next week on Layback with Betfair.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.